I'm Geoff Nemnich.
And I'm Rick Paulette.
And we're the hosts of The Last Stand. Coyote hunting is my passion.
And coyote calls are my livelihood.
And together we aim to bring you the best predator hunting tips, tricks, and tactics, right down to The Last Stand.
The Last Stand, presented by LuckyDuck Predator Calls. We are the masters of deception. Swagger bipods. Shoot with confidence, shoot with swagger. OnX Hunt. Know where you stand. Hornady. Accurate, deadly, dependable.
On this episode, we're back in the Sandhills in Nebraska, my old stomping grounds. Got a 2-day hunt lined up. First day we're going to hunt with my buddy Matt. Second day we're going to make a run north and we're going to hunt with Ed. Well, it feels good to finally get some winter. All season long, we've been struggling with coyotes, and a lot of it's had to do with the weather. And finally, it's taken about the middle part of February. We finally got some weather. It's been super cold, probably single digits and below for about the last 10 days. Got maybe 6 or 8 inches of snow on the ground. So, the plan today, we're probably going to throw some rabbit at them. You'd think they'd be struggling a little bit, but we're also going to key on that breeding season. We're, right in the middle of breeding season right now. So we'll try a little rabbit early on in the stand. Last half of the stand, we're going to throw a bunch of coyote base sounds at them, coyote fights, pup distress and things like that, and see if we can't get a little shooting in. We get into the first stand of the morning. We get coyotes howling. We're kind of set up trying to call a big lake. In this type of country, generally what you get, the coyotes are down on these wet meadows, lake beds, rush beds, hay meadows, things like that. I call them kind of transition areas. So that's where the coyotes, you usually find them early in the morning. And then as the day progresses, the coyotes usually move up into the rougher hills and lay up for the day. Man, it's a lot of extra work with snow like this, but you still got to do things right, These stands, we got a lot of snow cover, but not a lot of their terrain features here to help break up our outline. So I'm purposely getting the call, maybe 75, 80 yards from us, just to help keep the focus off of us and on the call when these coyotes do commit. Sometimes in this terrain in this country, it's hard to have the perfect setup every time. Sometimes you'll get there and there'll be just a weird hill or something that just limits a little bit of your visibility, and sometimes you just have to make the best of it. And on this particular setup, we had a ridge line kind of running off to our right, the lake being on the other side of that. So I thought, what, we wanted to see the upwind half, but I wanted to make sure that if any coyotes came from the lake, they didn't show up right behind us, that we kind of filtered them out to the side. So by doing that, what I had to do is put the call out about 80 yards in front of us and off to the side. So what essentially that does, if a coyote came from that lake, it would filter them out to the hill and funnel them down to the call instead of them showing up right behind us. And just a few minutes in, I was playing Lucky Pecker, I believe. A coyote pops up on the skyline right to our right, and it was pretty much right where Matt was pointed already. And the coyote kind of sees us. You can tell he's looking at us, but then he's looking clear off to the call. And we just froze. We just kind of let the coyote do his thing. And a lot of times that's all it takes. If you just sit there frozen for 30, 45 seconds, the coyote almost thinks twice that, okay, maybe you're not what he thought we were. And about that time, the coyote starts trotting down the hill towards the call.
On him, John. Good.
shot, man.
Thanks.
I figured you'd seen him, but figured he'd let him come down just like that and whack.
Yeah, I figured he was kind of looking over. I figured if I swung on him, he was gonna pop back over the hill.
You know, I want to talk about our setup just a little bit here. That exact spot where that coyote came from is exactly why I put the call where I did. We have the kind of this hill chain that kind of runs behind us. You can kind of see it right here. Wind's kind of blowing right in our face. The lake's over there, so we thought there was a good chance a coyote could come from there. We were really hoping they'd come from out front, but we knew that was a chance. The problem is if we'd have put that call maybe right down here in front of us 20 or 30 yards, that coyote probably would have popped up on this hill maybe 20 or 30 yards right behind us, saw us and ran off. By walking that call kind of up in front of us and out, 80 or 90 yards like I did, that was my intention, was that any coyote that came from behind us, it would funnel them kind of out in front of us farther where they wouldn't spook so fast, and it worked out perfectly. Just a little patience, If you don't grab the call, just pull right down the fence line and pick you up and we'll go get him. Yeah, probably this year's coyote. Little male all by himself. Not too bad. A little more brown than what we're used to, huh?
Yeah.
These sandhill coyotes are usually a lot lighter color. We just haven't had any snow. We really haven't. This is our first bit of winter, and winter's almost over. So, but heck yeah, we're on the board. That's all that matters. Let's keep it rolling now. So, after the third, fourth stand of the morning, we have a coyote in the truck. We're feeling good. We have a good game plan, in place. And we start making stand after stand after stand after stand. We're not seeing coyotes. We're not hearing coyotes. It's almost dead calm. We're working. We're pounding in and out of stands. It's a lot of work busting through that, 12 inches of snow with the crust. But for whatever reason, we go the entire rest of the day, 14 more stands without calling in a coyote. When stuff like that happens, you start questioning. It's natural. I do it all the time. Every coyote hunter I know starts questioning, why aren't we calling in coyotes? And there could be a million different reasons. I'm speculating that, I just felt like the snow was deep enough with that little bit of crust that the coyotes just really weren't wanting to travel far distances. And, when you're calling this big open country, you're not always going to be set up within 300, 400, 500 yards of these coyotes. You're hoping that they come from 800, 1,200, maybe even a mile at some cases. And in those conditions, I just don't think the coyotes wanted to move. And, whatever it may have been, it was a struggle, but we kept after it till the last stand, and just didn't pan out for us. Well, day 2 in the Sandhills. Yesterday was a little bit of a struggle. We were south of here about probably 70, 80 miles where we're at today. The snow was about twice as deep. I really think yesterday the conditions were so much that the coyotes just didn't want to move. But I think today, snow's not 4 or 5 inches here. I think the coyotes should be moving.
It's not crusted, so it won't be snowy either. So.
I think I'm anticipating a good day. It's going to be a little bit warmer. We're going to have a little bit more wind, which I actually like. Yesterday it was dead calm. Not a big fan of that, but today I think we're going to be pushing a 5 to 10, something like that, which should be perfect. But hunting with Ed, known Ed for a lot of years, it's always fun hunting with him. So hopefully we can get a few coyotes down Ed's barrel and see what happens.
And just get her done.
So first thing in the morning, I start picking Ed's brain about parts of his ranch where he thinks we should go, and he lays out a plan that we're going to go to this north part where it's a little more wide open, but there's usually some coyotes up in there. So we're just getting set up here. Just got a big flat surrounded by hill chains. Conditions are really good right now. Just a little bit of wind. It's actually warmer than it's been probably in the last week. High teens right now. I would think the coyotes would be out on the move, wanting to respond. We cut a handful of sets of coyote tracks in here, so they've been in here at some point. Just gotta hope now that they're within maybe 3/4 of a mile or so. They're a long ways. Got him. Nice. Double down, baby. Got to range that out there. That was... Heck yeah. I killed the female first. They were about 200 yards. They were kind of circling. There was a little cut right here, and I just didn't know exactly where Ed was. So I got him stopped here. I hit my preset, stopped him out there. You could physically tell that the back one was the female. Shot her first, about chest on at 200 yards. The male, a lot of times the males might not know what's going on, but he was getting out of there. Missed him on my first shot, but got him rolled up on the second one. About 275 out there. If I wouldn't have seen those coyotes coming from clear out there, you know, we might have been gone on this stand already. Probably would have seen them coming, you know, 12 minutes in, but just sometimes a little patience. This time of year, you know, those coyotes were 1,000 yards up that way, and I roll through the coyote fights and the pup distresses. You know, I usually, even on stand when I don't see coyotes, I'm only letting one of those pup distresses or coyote fights play for maybe 2.5, 3 minutes, because if they like it, they usually, you know, start coming to the call. If they don't, they just sit there. So the faster you're rolling through those sounds, the quicker you're going to get a response instead of sitting there just wasting time playing each one for 5 or 6 minutes. And that's what it took. Finally, it was coyote coon fight is what broke those coyotes free. You know, solo doubles are always awesome, you know, this time of year, especially in front of Ed. I always like it when he has to watch me shoot coyotes. I know initially he thought I'd missed one. He never saw me shoot the first coyote. He only saw the one die running. But so we had a fun little banter back and forth about that. But feels good. We're on the board after the day we had before. Killing a double this early on the day, you know, hopes are high. Well, the plan paid off. First one I shot was the female. She's in heat. She's actually a pretty good coyote. She's maybe close to 30 pounds. I'm curious to get over here because this coyote looked considerably bigger. He might be, you know, 36, 38 pounder, but it's a pretty Sandhills coyote right here. Let's go pick up Ed, get the other coyote.
Getting there, Jeffrey.
Boy, those coyotes, they were on those far hills over there, just messing around, walking up the thing, and it finally took that coyote coon fight, and then here they come, and they kind of started looping. And well, my goal was to shoot. I knew you could tell the size difference. This coyote looks way bigger than that one, so I'm like, I'll try to shoot the female first. A lot of times I had the pup distress going, and maybe that male might not know what's going on, but he was getting out of there.
Yeah, just right when I started swinging over. Whop.
Oh yeah, that's a massive coyote here. Massive coyote. Oh yeah, he's all of 35, 36 pounds. Big coyote. So we're grinding out stands, maybe 3 or 4 stands later. We get into a spot, we're kind of gathering a pattern that the coyotes are up in kind of these big rolling hills. So we're trying to find stands where, you know, the call's gonna carry up in there and we can draw those coyotes down out of there. So I start the stand off with a few howls, maybe to see if we get something to answer. And a pair of coyotes howl way off up in the hill. And at that point, you know, it's a guessing game. You know, obviously they were close enough to hear the call, so there's always a chance they may come. I roll into some Lucky Pecker to start the stand. 3 minutes of that, I roll into some Juju, and here they come down out of the hill. Right, go.
How close did he get?
Right at the call. Could you not get him to stop?
Well, I could have shot him here, but there was another one with him.
Oh.
And I got to think, well, if he comes over the hill, I can get the other one. She didn't play the game. She turned and left.
She go down to draw? Oh, man. Just out of nowhere, man. That thing, dead run. I missed it right at the call, and I missed it one more time right here and readjusted, and I got it rolled it up down there in the bottom. But
Yeah, I could have had a 60-yard shot easy.
well, come on.
Well, we're just
You're
playing.
being too nice. So I missed the coyote a few times right at the call, but you know, I didn't panic. I knew the coyote had to run 200 yards across this big wide open flat. I reset my swaggers, got squared up on him, and you know, rolled the coyote running about 100 yards. And hey, we had our third coyote of the morning, and it was one of the biggest coyotes we've killed in a long time. Well, we made a little bit of a run. Got in here, we're gonna call a set of real rough, choppy hills that go along this meadow. It's nice enough now. I think these coyotes should just be laid up in the hills right here. Got the wind in our face. Got Ed covering the left tab. If they show up off to the right, it's gonna happen quick. There we go. Got some coyotes answering us off in those far hills. If they show up on the right, it's gonna happen pretty quick. That's why I purposely walked the call way out where I did. So these coyotes coming from here, hopefully funnel them out in front of us where we can shoot. Right here, coming right here. He's coming. Ed from the right. He's gonna pop right here on the hill. Well, that happened fast. That's one of the benefits to doing a little howling at the beginning of the stand, especially this time of year when the coyotes are a lot more vocal, is we knew exactly where those coyotes were gonna come from. I actually caught a glimpse of this coyote. There's a little top of a hill out there about 150 yards. I caught the top of him coming over that hill, so we knew he was gonna pop up right here. But he got right there and he checked up. You could just see his body language instantly. He looked over at us, kind of made that move to leave, and that was the shot that we had. Now Ed has to drag this coyote back to the truck for me.
No, we're going to wait for you to drive up.
You know, this time of year, you know, you're expecting hunts to be a grind, and you know, you're pounding out stands, and it's going to be work. And you know, throughout the day, I kept you know, busting Ed's chops a little bit because I figured this is probably the hardest he'd coyote hunted in a decade, probably. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, 4 coyotes is a great day. Any day, and you know, we realize it's not going to be October, November where you have higher coyote densities and a majority of those coyotes are pups. It's work, but just to get the chance to kill a solo double, big old coyotes, chance to kill, you know, 3 big male coyotes that are aggressive, that are fired up, and they're wanting to come in there and kick some butt, that makes it all worthwhile. And you know, Ed didn't get to shoot a coyote. I was kind of disappointed about that, but I like to, you know, think that, you know, he could have had his coyote. He was just nice enough to let me shoot it.